As we do mourn, while we do mourn these 12 courageous men, let us also honor and celebrate their lives. These compassionate individuals served the city of West diligently and in numerous ways. Here on video are their stories.
Our son, Jerry Dane Chapman, was born April the 7th, 1987, in Pampa, Texas, at Coronado Community Hospital, during a blinding snowstorm that kept us trapped at the hospital for 4 days. Excitement followed him from that point on. Jerry is a child who has been unique from the beginning. He has been blessed with a kind spirit, and as a child began his love of helping people by rushing out to push Miss Shakel's wheelchair and helping widows get safely inside the Bible Church of Pampa.
As a young child, Jerry spent boundless energy playing soccer, but that was not fast-paced enough to keep him occupied. Jerry was always making people laugh. He was the life of every party, including all of his sister's slumber parties, which he was invited to frequently.
As a teen, he invested time in refining and focusing his energy in Taekwondo, earning numerous belts. He had his trusty friend John and spent many hours talking Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, technology, and who knows what other kinds of crazy conversations.
Jerry is the crazy boy cousin in a large group of family girls, and he loved being there with them. Jerry has a sister, Shay Pullman, who he loved to the moon and back. As a child, he pestered and tortured her, laughed and played. They were best buds or could be bitter enemies. As an adult, he admired and adored her drive and zest for life. As a high school student, he would school a little, daydream a lot, and we started him thinking of what the rest of his life would be like. Before earning the privilege to drive, Jerry and his dad rebuilt the engine in his pickup so that he would be able to fix it if he had problems. And he did both, which created a drive to know and fix things.
When our family relocated to Hillsboro, Texas in 2003, Jerry began the work phase of his life. Scooping ice cream was fun, and getting messy and getting paid for it was okay with him. That's right, he was a messy Casey, but aren't they all? After being initiated into the work world, he worked hard. He became a Pizza Hut manager, putting in countless hours for little pay. He did what it took to provide.
Jerry moved forward to becoming a responsible adult and moved out on his own again. This time it took 2 jobs, Walmart and the Black Eyed Pea. But none of this was fast-paced enough to keep Jerry's mind occupied.
He had made a special friend in Russ Strickland, and that friendship led him to his newly discovered passion, the Abbott Volunteer Fire Department. He was always excited when he would get called out, and no matter what time, day or night, facing injury or death, he grew to love it. Then along came his opportunity to further his love of helping others by becoming an emergency medical technician. So back to school he went, pouring out his heart and using his intelligence, he discovered his perfect niche on the way to a dream of becoming a helicopter paramedic. Jerry will forever be in our hearts and awaits us in heaven, fulfilling his job as an angel who is a protector. Passing from heaven to earth on April 17, 2013, he still had someone's back and always will. We are proud of you, and we love you, son. We will love you forever. We will like you for always. As long as we're living, our son you will be.
William Buck Upmore, Jr. was born on April 11, 1968, the first of 3 children born to Billy and Beverly Upmore. I'm his brother Brian, and our sister is Bethany Raines. Buck grew up loving the outdoors. He was a man that should have been born of an earlier era. He loved to camp, hunt, fish, ride horses, and work cattle. He competed in rodeo, bull and bronc riding, raced horses as a jockey, and was a good all-around cowboy. He loved country music and was a drummer for Billy Upmore and the Makers Band for many years. He was a hard worker and built a successful fencing company, Upmore Construction, from the ground up. Buck dearly loved his wife, Arcee, and his children, Dusty, Hunter, and Trevor. He was a very hands-on dad, helping his daughter train horses and coaching his son's baseball teams. He was always there for them and was very proud of them. He instilled in them his love for the outdoors. He was the friend that showed up to help you even before you asked. He had a great sense of humor and a smile on his face. No matter where he was or who he met, he was always the same, a kind man, a humble man who knew his God and lived life to the fullest. To his wife, children, mom, dad, brother and sister, extended family and friends, he leaves a legacy of love and generosity. I know he would be amazed at the outpouring of love and kind words in his honor. We're going to miss you, brother. We love you, Buck.
Always worry and are concerned and pray for the safety of your children. The day that I heard the explosion, and Joey being a firefighter, I knew where he was at that point in time. I knew that he was on the scene. He was right there in the front. That heroism and his courage he gave for the people in this community. And for that, we are so very proud. But that was the way Joey was. His concern for the community. If he had a job to do, he did it to his utmost best. And as a dad, I am so proud of that. God bless you, Joey.
I'm Joey's mother, and I like to go with the story that as a dove, you know, a mother dove raises her little feathered babies, and then they get wings that are strong enough to leave home. And you worry about him, but as Joey grew, his wings got so strong, and his life was so modeled around his heart. His heart went out to everyone. He loved everyone. He always had a beautiful smile on his face no matter what, with a gorgeous dimple right on his little cheek. And he's the only one that was able to keep me in line and to show me that I needed to be more sympathetic, more loving, and more caring. And I am so proud of my son to be able to go out there and save people's lives and to sacrifice his own. But his memory will go on in his son Parker, who is the splitting image of his dad. Joey, rest in peace and take care, sweet son. I love you.
I'm Joey's wife. Words cannot express how much I'm going to miss my husband. He was my everything. I brought 3 kids into our marriage, and he brought 1 son. And we all joined together as a family and did not say your children and my children. It was our children. And he took care of those children and loved them so much. I know he's in heaven protecting us and watching over us and smiling, as Mom said, with that dimple, and saying, I will keep you safe until I see you again. Rest in peace, baby. I love you.
I'm Joey's sister-in-law. Joey, I'm going to miss your strong and sincere hugs that I always got every time I saw you. And of course, we have to mention the smile again, because that's the way he was. You're so brave. We're so proud of you. We love you, and I'm going to miss you so much. You are truly a brother to me.
Joey, to my brother, from way back to raising heck on the streets, to growing up and going to Acts and being good Catholics, to being a strong family man, I'm going to miss you. You and Jeremy, y'all don't have too much fun without me. And na zdraví and sponem Bohem. Take care.
I'm Joey's grandmother, and I loved him very much. I watched him as a baby, growing up, doing all the fun things. Always loved his little smile with his little dimple. When he came over, he always wanted fried chicken. And every time I would fried chicken, Joey, I would think of you, and I'll put a leg aside for you. I'm so proud of you, being such a wonderful grandson and father and son. You were just a perfect person, and you did give up your life. And I know you're in heaven, and we love you, and we'll miss you. And we hope to join you, not too soon, but join you eventually.
Joey, my nephew, you were a strong man. You loved life, but yet you were willing to give all. You were a hard worker that never asked for anything, but you were the first to step forward. I'm going to miss you. I love you. You are my hero. I'm proud of you.
My name is Judd Harris. I'm representing my dad, Captain Kenneth Harris. And, I just wanted to say, kind of let people know what kind of man that he was. And he was an awesome dad, best dad I could have ever hoped for, and an awesome human as well. I'm just glad, he was my dad, and I was able to be around him. And he just was a strong, caring man, good family man. He did everything for us. He never missed a sporting event of ours in his life. And just the way that he cared for others, there was nothing that you could ask him that he wouldn't do for you. And he always put other people, before himself. And I've heard a lot of stories, from firemen and stuff like that work for him, and they all just have him in their highest regards. People who work under him say he's, the best captain they ever worked for, and just everybody that knew him knew what kind of man that he was. And it's me losing my dad, it's them there at the fire department losing their brother. So, but I can't thank them enough, how they've helped us in this time, get through all this and everything that they've done for us. It really is like a second family up there.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Tony Kabachak, Cody Dragoo's brother-in-law. But Cody was more than a brother-in-law. He was like a brother I never had. I know the day Cody died, April 17, 2013, our family, the city of West, the Brotherhood of Firefighters, the great state of Texas, and the big sky country of Montana lost a very special person. Cody was the type of guy that would do anything for anyone at any time, no questions asked. You knew you could call on him with any need. Cody dedicated a lot of his time to the West Volunteer Fire Department. Cody was not only a dedicated firefighter, but he also dedicated a lot of his time to other activities within the fire department, such as organizing the West Volunteer Fire Department barbecue cook-off and tractor pulls, which are both fundraisers for the department. And believe me, he really enjoyed his time doing that. Cody also volunteered for other organizations and events within the community, such as he was a member of the West KC's 2305 and was currently the president of the Cottonwood Water Supply. Now a little history behind how Patty and Cody met. Cody moved to our little community of West from the mountains of Montana and stayed at the local KOA. Now Patty had just about given up on men, so to change the subject every time it was brought up, she would always say, "I'm gonna marry me a Montana mountain man." Never in her wildest dreams did she really think that it would happen. Well, lo and behold, one night she walked into a local bar with her sister Susan. And Susan said, "You see that guy at the bar? That's the one for you." So that night, Patty met her Montana mountain man. Cody was an amazing husband to Patty, and Patty loved Cody with all her heart. Cody was her best friend, and they could talk about anything. They always cooked together and talked every night for at least 2 hours. Cody always gave Patty a kiss in the morning when she got home from work and every night before they went to bed. When Cody would go out of town, he would leave little notes that said, "I miss you and I love you," so that when Patty got home, she would find them. Everyone knew where to find Cody on a Sunday afternoon, watching his favorite NASCAR driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr., because he really loved NASCAR. Now every Sunday when we went to Aunt Patty and Uncle Cody's house, my little girl Kate would run past everybody and go straight to her Uncle Cody. He would pick her up with the biggest smile and say, "That's my little girl." And she was his little girl, because anytime she got in trouble with me, she knew who would pick her up and feel sorry for her. She would say, "Daddy's mean," or "Daddy said no," and Cody would just pick her up, give her a big hug and a big kiss, so you know she wasn't spoiled. Cody also loved hunting. He grew up hunting in Montana for whitetail and elk. And he brought that love of hunting to Texas with him. So obviously, we got a deer lease and spent a lot of time out there with family and friends. I remember one hunt in particular when Cody and our nephew Clayton were hunting together. Cody shot and dropped a doe. After waiting a few minutes, they went to go get it. So Clayton ran down and hollered back at Cody, "You got it." But Cody forgot his backpack and knife at the stand, so he told Clayton to go back and get it. As Cody went to go move the deer, it jumped up and pawed him in the face. It left a perfect hoof print on his cheek, and it ran off. And I've got the picture on my phone. Now Patty told Cody, either shoot a deer or get off the deer lease. So that next season, Cody got a spike and told Patty, "I get to stay on the deer lease." And finally, this last season, he shot 3 deer to further impress Patty. And of course, lots of deer meat for sausage and steaks, which we eat all the time. Cody was truly a blessing to our family, and he will be deeply missed. Cody, Patty just wanted to say, I love you with all my heart, forever and ever and ever.
On April 14, 2001, I had the honor of reading the following passage at the wedding of Robert and Allison Snookhouse. It's from the Apostle Paul's letter to the Corinthians, known as the Love Chapter, from 1 Corinthians 13. I'll read a portion of it. If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. It's clear to all who knew Robert Snookhouse that he exemplified Paul's description of love. He was a true hero, not only as a firefighter, but as a husband, a father, a brother, a son, an uncle, and as a man. As a West volunteer fireman, Robert repeatedly demonstrated his dedication and commitment, and most certainly his bravery, always one of the first to answer every call. Robert, who many knew as Bob, was also a wonderful husband. He and Allison married not once, but twice, in October of '99 and again in April of 2001. Not because they divorced, but because they wanted to celebrate their love and their marriage with a real wedding. He was truly Allison's best friend, her rock, without a doubt. I spoke to Robert's sister Karen today. She told me that she really wanted everyone to know that she and her brother Barry loved their brothers. And I'm quoting Karen here, They gave us hell every day growing up. But she also said that she and Barry were also so very proud of Doug and Bob. Not just now, but always before. Robert was an amazing dad. I remember when his children were little and lived 2 or 3 hours away, he would faithfully get in his car to drive to pick them up and take them back every other weekend, and never once complained about the drive, just always grateful that he got to spend another weekend with Marquis and Bubba. His stepdaughter, Mackenzie Ryan, wrote the following about Robert. Robert may have been my stepdad, but there was nothing step about our relationship. He was there for me through heartbreaks, car breakdowns, celebrations, and everything in between. I am the person I am today because of his influence, and I'll never be able to share the amount of thanks, love, and respect I have for that man. There is something great about a man who can treat a stepchild as one of his own, and I was lucky to have him as my hero for such a long time. It is heartbreaking to lose such an important person in your life, but I'm thankful that others now know and see the true hero he was. And although it is extremely sad for our family, because we lost 2 loved ones, with Uncle Doug going too, I'm thankful that they'll be together in heaven. Robert will be truly missed, but as he rests in peace, he will always be known as a hero. My prayer for all of you is one of peace and hope. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint.
Kevin Sanders was a husband, a father, a son, a grandson, a brother, an uncle and a cousin, a nephew, a coworker, and a neighbor, and a friend. As almost anyone who met him could tell you, he was also an animal lover, a mechanic, a car tinkerer, a fan of Star Trek and Bo and Luke Duke, but not Coy and Vance, and hopefully this doesn't come as a surprise, but also a Superman fan. When I turned 16, I had the distinguished honor of being handed down Kevin's first car, a 1989 Chevy Celebrity painted blue with latex house paint and an old paint roller. Emblazoned on the hood was a 4-foot-wide Superman logo. Kevin was born and grew up in the Chicago area, and you would be hard-pressed to find someone in the city that we grew up in who had not seen the Superman car flying around town. Just before moving to Texas, Kevin upgraded a little and bought a fire engine red 2009 Dodge Charger, the perfect mix of his passion for muscle cars, the Dukes of Hazzard, and the Man of Steel. Kevin drove that car to the Emergency Medical Services building in the city of West Texas last Wednesday night on his last day of classroom training before he would be a certified EMT. Up until now, I guess I haven't mentioned that Kevin was also a member of the Bruce Villetti Volunteer Fire Department, and above almost everything that I have described Kevin as, he was exactly what you would think of when you heard the title, volunteer firefighter. This was a fact that Sarah, his wife, and some of the 6 cats that occasionally slept on Kevin's head knew well, that Kevin would be up and out of the house even in the middle of the night within minutes of his fire pager going off. The one thing that recently started to slow Kevin down from just running out the door was that he might have his newborn son in his arms and would have to hand him off to his wife Sarah before hopping in his Superman car and heading off to help. Heading off to help was exactly what Kevin and his EMT classmates were doing last Wednesday night in West. They were in the middle of a lesson when the first call about the fire came out. It wasn't until the second call came over the radio that duct tape and super glue couldn't have held anyone in their seats. Firefighters need help. Kevin didn't need the extra 2 minutes to hand his son off to Sarah, and he didn't even need the Superman car to get him to the scene. The EMS building is only 5 football fields away from the fertilizer plant. It was the perfect timing for the most horrible event that many of us have ever experienced. Kevin and others were killed instantly by the blast that registered as an earthquake and has resonated in the hearts of every one of us. Kevin's physical presence has been taken away from us, if by force, by fate, or by divine reason that we have yet to understand, we're not sure. What is and will never be forgotten is his joy and levity that he so freely gave to everyone he ever met. Many of his friends and family and coworkers will remember Kevin playing practical jokes, being seen with a Superman cape and a paintball gun, sometimes together. And for me, in one memory, specifically answering and convincingly pretending to be me when my wife would call. Memories like that, pictures, letters, emails, gifts, all of these are things that we'll remember Kevin by. We also have two very specific things that represent Kevin in many wonderful ways. His Superman car, that bright red Dodge Charger he drove to class that night, somehow survived the disaster with only a few dents. The second, more important thing of great symbolism is Kevin and Sarah's newborn son. He will, and I choose this word specifically, be fortunate to grow up with the spirit of a dad who at his very core was about helping and loving everyone that he encountered. Reeve, who Kevin and Sarah named for the actor who played Superman in the original films, will forever have a dad that is a real-life hero. And not a hero because he wanted a medal or to be on TV or in a movie, but a hero because up to and including his final moments, he would give everything to anyone who needed it. Kevin was 33 years old. Reeve is 3 months old. We ask all of you in Kevin's memory that you strive to help others and to make the world a better place for you, your family, and for his.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ronald, and I had the extreme privilege of being one of Perry's best friends. And it's with a sad and heavy heart that I come here today to celebrate the life of my friend. Perry's life was taken from us way too soon, and it's hard for us to understand why tragedies like this happen to such good people. But really and truly, it's not for us to understand. Instead, I think we should find our comfort in knowing that God had a special plan for Perry. So instead of dwelling on the loss, I think we should celebrate his life and remember all the fun times and all the smiles that he gave us. I moved to Texas in the fall of 2004, and I didn't know anybody here. I lived here about 2 months, and I met the one and only Perry Calvin. After about 2 minutes of conversation, Perry was already talking to me like he had known me his whole entire life. I don't think he ever met a stranger, and if he did, you wasn't a stranger for long, I can guarantee you that. From that point on, I knew that I had made a friend for life. There are so many memories and stories that I could tell you, from the rodeos that we clowned together to the remodeling projects that he conned me into helping with. I believe that God instills a special quality in all of us. Two of Perry's qualities was his ability to make you feel welcome and his desire to always help out and always be involved wherever he could. Those of you that had the privilege of knowing Perry, you were guaranteed 3 things. Number 1, you were guaranteed that Perry was going to give you his opinion whether you wanted it or not. Number 2, you were guaranteed that if he was around you long enough and had the chance, he would play a practical joke on you. And number 3, you were guaranteed that you knew a man that would go out of his way to help you in any way that he could. So no matter what paths that our lives took, I always knew that Perry was just a phone call away and that his door was always open. Now, we didn't always agree on things or see eye to eye, and sometimes we had to argue like brothers. But the greatest respects I had for Perry was his love of the Lord, his love of his sons and his wife, and his desire to help everybody, and the passion that he had for helping no matter what time, where, or what the cost. We'll never be able to fill the emptiness in our hearts that the loss of such a great friend, husband, father, son, and brother has left us. But I think we should take the time to reflect and smile and see him standing there with that toothpick in his mouth, grinning real big and saying, "What you ought to do is this," or "Don't worry about it, it'll be all right." Perry, you'll be missed dearly and never forgotten. Thank you for the friendship and the memories that'll last forever.
Douglas James Snookhouse, or Doug, as he was known to everyone, is my dad. He is also a friend, brother,
uncle, grandpa, husband, and a hero. My daddy grew up in West his entire life, just as his parents did before him, and I continue to reside in the town that my family has loved and served for generations. Daddy was the oldest of 4 children, followed by Uncle Bob, Aunt Karen, and Uncle Barry. He spent his childhood attending St. Mary's Catholic Church in West and serving as an altar boy, as well as being a Boy Scout. Daddy graduated from West High School, where he played both football and baseball. If you ever heard him tell the story, he will say his high school football team was the best in school history, because he was on it, of course. But most of his childhood was spent getting into trouble with his brother and his best friend, my Uncle Bob, and tormenting Aunt Karen and Uncle Bob. Aunt Karen just can't believe the 2 boys who gave her such a hard time became amazing family men and pillars of the community. Daddy also spent most of his childhood hanging out at the West Volunteer Fire Department with his dad and 2 uncles. Service above self was instilled in him at a young age. There's no greater gift than to serve your neighbors, family, and friends. It is no surprise to me that both Daddy and Uncle Bob became volunteer firefighters, and my Uncle Barry went into the Air Force. That is just the kind of men they are. Daddy was a man of dedication, which is apparent in his career. He began working at Central Texas Iron Works a few weeks after high school graduation, and in June would have celebrated 32 years with the company. That same dedication he showed in his volunteering at the fire station. There were many dinners missed, family events he had to leave early from, and hours spent on wrecks or fires in the middle of the night. Donna would often tell us that he would get about 2 hours of sleep and go to work the next day. Nothing made him happier than to offer his assistance to help others. Well, except to tell you the story about the fire or wreck later. If you knew my dad, you know he loved to tell stories about anything, whether it was his hunting adventures or golf outings, and especially about his fire calls. He also loved to sing karaoke and would invite anyone to come hear him. Of course, he also thought he could sing the songs better than the original artist. He spent a lot of time barbecuing for both the fire department and for family events. Although if Daddy was barbecuing, you might want to make sure you bring a few snacks, because although his barbecue is delicious, everyone knows it always took a long time. There was nothing Daddy loved more than to sit on the back porch with family and friends and talk. He would talk about nothing or anything. If Lakin or I ever needed advice, we knew to meet him on the back porch, and he would listen quietly and always assure us that things were going to work themselves out. Daddy never got stressed out. He was the calmest, most laid-back man you'd ever met. Even when he was helping Donna in the flower shop, delivering flowers for Valentine's Day or anything else, he never let the craziness affect him and would always tell Donna, "Oh, everything's going to get done." My stepsister credited Doug to helping her survive her high school years, because he would always tell Donna, "She's fine. That's what kids do." He really enjoyed taking his 2 step-grandchildren, Abby and Andrew, to the fire station. Abby especially loved it. He would let her stand in his bunker gear and take her for rides in the fire truck, just as he took Lakin and I when we were kids. Although Lakin likes to point out that Dad took her for a ride in a fire truck that didn't have a floor. He assured her it would be fine. 7 months ago, I gave birth to Daddy's first grandchild, Hogan James. As you can tell, I gave him the same middle name as my daddy, and he just couldn't be prouder. After Hogan was born, Daddy came into the room crying and told me, "Oh, Lauren, he's beautiful. He looks exactly like me." Daddy loved to spend time with Hogan, and he would hold him and tell him how he was going to take him hunting and fishing as soon as he could start walking. Daddy called him Hoagie, and I can't wait to tell Hogan about what a hero his grandpa was. He was a strong man with an incredibly kind heart and was always very emotional about his family. Even though Donna didn't cry at Deanna's wedding, he did. That is just who he was, a loving man who cared for his family and his community. Caring for his community is just what he was doing on that night at the West Fertilizer plant. He never thought twice about rushing into a dangerous situation, because he knew he was protecting the property or lives of his friends, family, and community he loved so dearly. That night, his best friend, my Uncle Bob, was with him. Daddy used to always say that he knew he was going to be okay in a fire as long as Uncle Bob was there beside him. Daddy would tell Donna after he ran out on an especially bad wreck where lives were lost, "You know, Donna, the good die young." Our family has found comfort in him saying that over the last few days. Men like my dad and the other men who rushed into danger last Wednesday are a special kind of man. A man that will give their lives for others without any thought of their own is truly the definition of a hero. I know I will tell Hogan to look up to these kinds of men, to strive to be like his grandpa. I could not be prouder to call Doug Snookhouse my dad.
My name is Carmen Bridges. I'm the wife of volunteer firefighter Morris Bridges, Jr. This is his 2-year-old son, Jamison Aiden Bridges. Morris has 3 children that he loved more than anything in the world. He has Brent Bridges, Brittany Bridges, and Jamison. He loved his job at Action Fire Pros. He was always ready to work. He was well-liked and respected by everybody. He loved his community and the people in the community. He would have done anything to help them. We lost Morris during the explosion, and Morris is a hero to not only his children, but to his community, and he will be missed. The last words that we heard Morris say, he got the call for the fire. Usually he just ran out of the house without stopping as fast as he could. But he stopped that day and turned around and picked Jamison up and said, "Daddy loves you, and I'll be right back." And he didn't come back. Morris has 2 sisters, Melinda and Louise, who love him very much. And he loved them more than anything in the world. He has lots of nieces and nephews that he loved. Morris he just would have done anything for anybody. And my son will grow up knowing that his dad was a hero and that we loved him and we'll miss him.
I'm honored to have the opportunity to tell you about my brother Cyrus and the amazing light he shined in the darkness of my life and the lives of countless others. Often we hear in remembrance of the fallen regrets such as, well, he never got to, or I wish I would have. Cy wasn't that kind of guy. Nor should anyone ever question mistakes or shortcomings that may reveal themselves in retrospect when looking back at Cyrus's life and their relationship. Cy lived for today. He lived as if tomorrow was not an option and held nothing back in his passion and fury for the life that he had. If Cy had a notion to do something, he would dedicate all that he had to never lead a life where he would look back in retrospect and regret the bitter taste of apathy. Cyrus was on fire for life. He lived his life from day to day with the knowledge that one day he would ultimately meet his demise, and accepted this fate with a smile on his face and a fearless attitude. Cyrus loved fire. He loved it to a fault, to be honest. His parents and friends can attest to this love of fire, which is evidenced by the burn marks in all of our yards. Often cans would turn up missing at my house, and my wife would ask, "Where's the easy cheese?" With Cy sleeping in his room, I would reluctantly venture out to the backyard to find that not only had Cy taken the compressed processed cheese product, but said can of cheese had been shot with a BB gun in my backyard and looked like a giant yellow piece of spaghetti. Picture, if you will, waking up, in the morning to find a 15-foot diameter swath of compressed dairy product strung all over the backyard, fence, chairs, windows, and sometimes the dog. And when confronted, a big grin would come across his face, and he would giggle and then proceed to plead his case and say, "You don't understand, it was like 15 feet in the air and it spun and it was so cool." Yeah, and I'm going to miss that. Cyrus lived by a verse in the Bible, John 15:13. "Greater love hath no man than this, than to lay down his life for a friend." We're all here today aware that Si paid the ultimate price to try and save the lives of fellow EMTs, firefighters, but he also paid the price for you, for me, strangers, and simply because that is the very fabric of which Si was woven from. Si was a firefighter, and he loved every minute of it. Cyrus lived for the department, and I can think of no better way to allow my brother to pass on than to take comfort in knowing that he died doing what he loved. In death, we focused on the day one was born and the day they pass. The only representation of a profound life lived on a marble marker is the dash which resides between the two dates. My brother lived his dash. He lived as a man with a passion and a zeal for life which could not be contained and was contagious to all who knew him. Si's dash should extend well past any length that marble could ever contain. We focus on the day they joined us and the day they left us, but the important part is the fact that they lived. My brother lived a life which reflected all the virtues which I hope to one day master. Cyrus never spoke of his code of ethics. By moral and ethical standards, we hear men speak of things such as valor, honor, integrity, loyalty, tenacity, dedication, and prudence. Never once did I hear him say any of those words. However, I watched him live those without compromise. Mark and Lucy, Si's parents, when speaking with them, were concerned if their baby boy left the nest with all the tools he would need to just be a complete and whole person. I had the opportunity to sit down with them and tell them about their son. I assured Mark that not only did he give Si the tools necessary for a life of morality and integrity, but he mastered his craft with such precision that he himself was a leader in honing the lives of others to abide with dedication and vigilance. In closing, I would like to say that Cyrus always hated the term hero. He and I shared the belief that heroes are persons who are etched in marble, and that a hero is a sacred and solemn term reserved for only those who pay the ultimate price when others would falter or run. My brother would disagree, but I firmly believe that all privy to this incident can attest that my brother and all those who lay with him are heroes now and forever. I would like you all to learn from my brother. He risked and gave his life because there is no greater love than to lay down your life for a friend. I implore you to keep my brother's vigilance alive. Dare to love. Dare to be bold. Dare to put yourself out there. Love is the most precious gift God can give us. Love is greater than faith. Show your love and don't be afraid to feel. Don't be afraid to hurt, but even in the face of incredible adversity, I dare all of you to take my brother's example and love. God bless you all, and thank you very much.
April 17th is a day West will never forget. The West Volunteer Fire Department received a fire call. As always, the men who serve were quickly to respond. No one could ever realize what the end result would be. This small group of volunteers experienced a loss that day that will be forever embedded in their souls. Robert and Doug Snookhouse, always first on the scene, these brothers have been in the fire department for over 13 years. Their dad and two uncles proudly served the fire department. They were proud to follow in their footsteps and help the community. Joey Pushiowski joined the fire department when he became city manager. He wanted to serve West not only as a paid employee, but as a volunteer as well. He was currently serving as the secretary-treasurer of the fire department. Cody Dragoo had been in the fire department for over 10 years. He ran the fire department's barbecue cook-off and the West Fire Department tractor pulls. He assisted in raising over thousands of dollars that helped build the current fire department. Morris Bridges, although he joined the department only 2 years ago, he made a big difference. He was always willing to help and assist the department in any way. We would also like to recognize the honorary firefighters who showed up on the scene: Buck Upmore, Lucky Harris, and Jimmy Matus. Although not members, they were always willing to assist. We can't express enough sorrow to the families for their heroic efforts. We ask that you continue to pray for the firefighters and individuals in the hospital and at home recovering from their injuries. With the continued prayers and support from the local community and around the world, we will continue to heal. We truly appreciate all the love and support that you've given us. In closing, I would like to leave you with something that Doug always said: the good die young.
A week has passed since the devastation in West. That day will forever be embedded in the minds and hearts of us all. As the director of the West Volunteer Ambulance Service, the heartache experienced by my group goes without saying. We had an EMT class in session on the night of this tragedy. After the first explosion, the students immediately ran out of the building to assist others in need. Many students ran to the apartment building and nursing home. The West EMS unit and 4 of the EMT students went to the explosion site to assist with the injured individuals. Soon after the arrival, a large explosion occurred. We are here to honor our fallen. Kevin Sanders. Kevin Sanders was new to the West EMS family when he started the class back in November, but immediately fit in. While attending class this winter, he became a father. He was so very proud of his new family. Many nights he would not stand around and talk after class. He made sure we all knew he was headed home to hold his new baby boy. His mom told me that as a boy, he was always jumping to help others. Kevin reacted the same way the night of the explosion and died a hero. Perry Calvin. Perry Calvin has been a first responder and volunteer firefighter for many years. We worked together several times as volunteer firefighters of Hill County, and he was currently attending Hill College Fire Academy. He was not only a very proud and dedicated firefighter, but also a great husband and father. He shared many stories about his wife and sons who he adored, and had just shared the news of a new baby expected later this year. During his years of service as a volunteer firefighter, Perry helped many and died a hero. Cyrus Reed. Cyrus Reed and I fought many fires together as members of the Abbott Volunteer Fire Department. He gave it his all as a firefighter and friend. We all knew which truck Cyrus would be driving. If the Deuce and a Half was on scene, we knew Cyrus was there. He took pride in that old truck. He loved kids and spent many hours with my son, educating him on fire truck safety and fire equipment. Cyrus touched the hearts of many and died a hero. Jerry Chapman. Jerry Chapman was also a member of the Abbott Volunteer Fire Department. After joining Abbott, he immediately found his calling. He started the EMT class and was eager to graduate next week. He planned to use his education to help others. He was the type of person that made friends easily and didn't know the word no. There was always a smile on his face. Jerry didn't know the word no last week either and died a hero. To the families of these brave individuals, please know they died trying to save lives. They were trained and used their training well. Forever be proud. They will always be remembered. Although several of the West EMS volunteers and students were injured, I'm thankful for all who survived and heartbroken for the lives taken. I'm also very proud of the soon-to-be EMTs. They all jumped and ran to assist. I'm honored to have you in the West EMS family. For all the current volunteers who responded, I'm speechless.